to change the world. What do you need to change? I said, the banking system, the financial monetary system. We discussed this extensively in the second part. I already showed you how these mechanisms basically work. That's what everyone can criticize, but then they need to do a good research for themselves. Because you can find it on the websites of the central banks and the BIS, etc. It is just readable now. Why? The truth is put in front of you, for everybody. People need to make a choice, and the need is really a need. No choice also means a choice. This is the time we are in, now. Our free will is respected, in once again sanctified. Two traces start showing up now in the field. And it will be needed to make a choice. The matrix is really going to play its part. Are we going to stand up for ourselves? Are we going to develop things ourselves again? Because what we are talking about, concerning the elections, we give our voice away. We give our right to others to make decisions for us. As long as we maintain that kind of mechanisms worldwide, then we also make a choice, don't we? We choose their program. That is a slave program.
By joining it, no responding and stand up against it, yes.
Yes, so that is what I told my wife in France. It is the banking system, the monetary financial system. Then she replied, well, that is where you came from. I said, but hello, I made this promise to myself that I would never go back in there. Well, she said, if this promise was to yourself, perhaps you can possibly break this promise for once. If I say something or make a promise, I will always keep my promise, so that was very difficult for me. But I did it anyway, so for once in my life I broke a promise, and it was to myself. In order to map the mechanism, the monetary system, the banking system, in any case, that model, and to create a tool, to offer. There are all kinds of tools now being developed worldwide, offered to the people. Also concerning energy, in healthcare, the financial system, worldwide there are manifestations emerging, all of which are presented to us to do things differently.
Because you are still in contact with people from the banking industry, how do they respond to the story you bring about?
Well, very positive. Yes. Because at first, I got a lot of support from people who are still serving in this world, in the old world. Wow, you have the guts to tell people about the things we do. That was one of them. They are also caught, you know, those people want to get out. There are not so many bankers who are independent. Those are the bribed ones, they know everything. But most people within the banking systems are, just like everybody, stuck with a mortgage, with a family, they are deeply in debt, depending on their position. Just saying, it is not all black and white, right? It is not us and them. We also need to reconsider the dualistic principle. So these people are giggling inside, and they really hope for people to stand up and choose different. So we can finally do something good. People do not expect that every banker is a hero, who will sacrifice everything, by telling what is going on in their world.
No, so you mean to say that they are on the tip of their chair to tell it? They don't have the guts to do it, and they're waiting until they get the support of the population.
Yes, because they are, until today, actually not interested. I mean to say. What is the average person talking about? No, you need public support. You cannot expect everyone to be a hero. So yes, as long as the people do not vote differently, are not standing up, everything remains as it is. So that is one thing. I was in a meeting with an ex-top banker. And This man got a message on his cell phone from a colleague who is still in the business. He said, well, what do you think just happened? One of our former colleagues is telling about blah 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 etc. And he sees it and said, Ronald, look what I just got from an ex-colleague from the top.
Fantastic.
He said, I will tell him, yes, that's right, because he is sitting next to me right now. People who came out of this world, maybe it will surprise you, but the people who did have the courage to escape the system, are jumping into the deep and they no longer live an easy life. They also need support, and a kind of shelter. If we approach all those bankers, armed with a knife, saying you are a banker, because there are some people, there are children from bankers, who rather say during their lecture at school that their father is a pole dancer in a homo bar, instead of telling that their father is a banker.
Yes, I also heard of that.
Yes, so it is very difficult for a lot of people to get out of it. If the people think black and white about everything there is, right, then only a few will be released. Most of the times it occurs through crisis, and what we see is a lot of bankers who are released through suicide. That is also a way to get out.
Yes, they fly from their own bank buildings without wings.
Yes, it always has to do with so-called accidents. But for a lot of people it is very intense. In fact, I can say that in the top layers, actually in all layers, many people are waiting for breakthroughs or support from the population, but that does not happen much. Most people prefer to stay behind their keyboards, and their life I talked about. Their beer, their wine or whatever. Oh, we are fine.
But that is also deliberately programmed, as you said earlier, by mass psychology, manipulation, propaganda.
Yes, but that does not relieve you from the responsibility, right?
No, that is right.
That does not relieve you, because you still have inner feelings.
Yes, but
we are not robots.
No, but personally I think, if you are spending lots of time behind the television, in front of the television I better should say, then it seems to be that you get swept away, or you are programmed, which makes you more powerless by losing touch or intuition.
Yes. People often experience a lot of powerlessness. The footage of Syria is shown to us. And we already talked about the things behind all that. You know what, sometimes I really do not know what needs to be done here on Earth to get the people moving because they are still sitting in their chair. And I do not refer to violent rebellion of some kind. No. I am talking about making connection. Unite. See who we really are. That is actually the only thing that matters. Oneness in diversity. I am not sure if I talked about this previously, but the metaphor behind it is, look at your body. Did I mention this before? About the little cells in our body?
No.
Our body is made up of all cells. Of course it has deeper layers, but this is concerning the cells. And every cell is unique, and has its own function and role, and it works together with all the other little cells, and thus makes its entire vehicle, the entire body. And we, here on Earth, humanity, every human being is a unique cell. And if it is going to function as a body, we get a bigger manifestation of a body. Because everyone has his unique capabilities, his unique talents. Those are most of the time the things that make you happy. But then you can say, but oh, if I am going to do this, I have no income anymore. Yes, but wait. We are a whole, which is not a utopia, we are a whole. But we just believe in the illusion that we are not a whole because we're stuck in the dualistic program. But if we get the courage to do this, like I always did on a small scale with, for example, 1,000 men, on a housing project, then you already see that body emerge. Because we all have the same ambition, the same goals, and everyone is using their talents. And then it appears to be one body that perfectly fills each other. And together you build the most impossible things. At least, that was their thought. And that's the point.
Yes. And that awareness is needed.
Yes.
And therefore, it is good that you share this story.
Yes. Someone will have to do it once, you know. And yet, I really did not know where it would lead me. I really did not know. Which applies to all, from pregnancy, the baby to be born, to the future. When we chose to decide things together within the family, we did not have a clue about the things to come. If we had known, we really did not do this, so to speak, because this is the toughest route ever. But we are determined about that. Finally, we want, because our love of our children has expanded enormously, we finally want to face every child on earth, so we can say, "Dear child, we did everything, really everything to make your future, your world a better place. Because if we don't, you do not want to live anymore." And yet I ask every father and every mother, and everyone who loves a child, how much do you really love your child?
Hoeveel hou je werkelijk van je kind? Hoeveel hou je werkelijk van je kind? Ga daar maar eens over.
Fell about it. No thinking. Thinking destroys more than you want. Go and feel how much you really love your child. Of all other children, maybe you are a grandfather, maybe you are an uncle, an aunt. It does not matter to me, everybody has some kind of connection with children. They are our future. What legacy are we giving them? Based on the current vampire system, we are wrecking the earth. We do not even have an earth to live on anymore in the future. Do you think all those poisonings have no impact? Don't you think that if we do not make choices that a third world war will be a nice trip? Because that is the target they are aiming for if they need it, when nobody is deciding once there will be a third world war. And that is no fear-mongering. Just take a look around this world to see what's happening. They did not put those nuclear weapons